So there's a lot of Cowboys fans freaking out about this terrible padded practice we had with the Broncos. And we're going to go through the observations that were made and try to make sense of exactly what happened. Listen, we're talking about a joint practice. It's not like we have a consecutive set of joint practices where we're seeing some patterns or consistent behavior. So, let's just take this with a grain of salt, but let's talk about exactly what happened, and is there any real concerns that need to be brought up throughout this preseason as we enter that this Saturday. Now, before we get started with today's video, if you could do me a solid favor and like this video, it doesn't take too long to do whatsoever. Greatly appreciate it as well. Helps perform better in the algorithm. On top of that, subscribe if you're new. 65% of you guys watching are not subscribed, and more of you keep coming back. So if you're a part of that and you want to get more of the content, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell as well so you'll get notified. YouTube's been being weird, so make sure you notify yourself, hey, you know what? I want to make sure that I'm getting my videos. So with that being said, this joint practice with the Broncos had some highlights and a decent amount of lowlights with it. Now, a couple of the notes. Let's start off with the positives, okay? Micah Parsons looked like a beast, and he basically just dominated the entire day, and that's fantastic to hear. And the reasoning for that is because it shows me that he's taking the practices seriously. Now, it's not that he's doing very well in these practices and no one's really trying. It's the effort that counts, right? I would like to see those that are trying at least and not like having just a half-assed effort, if that makes any sense. So CeeDee Lamb, this is another big thing. CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott's connection, ready to go. It looks really damn good, and that is not something that I'm saying lightly. Like, I've seen throws during that jointed practice where basically it was like triple coverage. CeeDee Lamb looks great in terms of being able to get open, and that's going to be very vital for the Cowboys this particular season. Now, let's get to a couple lowlights. Well, the offensive line did not look particularly well, and keep this in mind, it's kind of the backups that we were having issues with. Josh Ball, for example. I think Terrence Steele was having some issues, but he was doing A-okay for most of the practice. That's a problem for him. And it's not because, oh, guys, we got to ring the bell because, oh, no, the line's not playing well. It's because of the fact that we just have to keep an eye out on it. You know, like, I'm not saying let's hit the alarm bell right now and panic. This is kind of one of those situations where, like, we'll wait and see how things go. Like, if we go through the next two preseason games and some more joint practices and it's like, something's not right here, then we will go ahead and hit the panic button. But for now, the Dallas Cowboys need to monitor their offensive line situation. I believe Ian Bunting, if I remember correctly, got injured along with John Ridgeway. Two notable injuries, so that's something you have to keep in mind as we go forward. The biggest thing too, and I think this is the key thing, if you gotten this far into the video before you comment it, they are in Colorado. They are in Denver. The altitude and that in combination with the heat ain't helping the Cowboys. Now, we'll see how things progress, but it's just there's a bunch of scrums that took place during this, and not that I care for the fights and stuff like that. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and act like this is great. It's funny because Randy Gregory was involved in pretty much every single fight that was instigated, and the Broncos were just like being nasty with the Cowboys. And listen, I don't really give a damn, but it just felt like it was like so unnecessary. Like, Bradley Chubb hit Zeke ridiculously hard. And luckily Zeke popped back up, but it was like, whoa, like, we're doing this in practice. And then, you know, Terrence Steele was getting into fights, and it's so funny because there was a point where Dak Prescott was asked about, like, oh, how did you feel about Randy Gregory being involved in all these fights? And he was like, oh, he just misses us, which was pretty funny. Um, Now, with the Broncos preseason game on the horizon, there are, like I mentioned in the preseason game one preview, there are things I'm going to take a look at. And this joint practice kind of reaffirmed the things I wanted to see. And that was the offensive line. I want to see how it plays. And Joe Philbin is being looked at squarely here. Because with what we're hearing with the offensive line, it's not really good to hear about how, oh, well, this offensive line is struggling. And I know that there are some people that are like, I'm not freaking out about this, which I'm in that camp too. I'm not trying to sit here and say that I'm not, because it's a practice. It's the trend of the practices, of the actual live games, that's more important, right? Like, if we go into the live game setting and there are little to no issues, we'll be fine. But if it's like, okay, Josh Ball's struggling, Terrence Steele's struggling, and we see it on the football field and it's continuously, that's when we're going to be like, all right, guys, we need to seriously reevaluate what we got going on here. Because now we're hearing that McGovern's been getting the first team snaps at left guard. That doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to play Tyler Smith, because I think it's just more so a resting type of thing. So don't expect much from the first preseason game, and I'm not trying to lower expectations. It's the first preseason game. I'm not expecting everybody to go out there and be world beaters and stuff like that, but there's a lot going on there. And so there really wasn't anything heard about the kicking game. All I know is Dak looks great, according to the practices. CeeDee Lamb looks fantastic. The offensive line looks like crap. The defense has been doing very well for the Cowboys. And that's just pretty much the end of that. There really wasn't a whole lot more that I can add into that, because it's just like, what is going on here? And so I want people to understand, especially Cowboy fans. This is a joint practice. Again, keyword practice. So I wouldn't freak out about certain instances, right? Even during training camp, like, I talk about, oh, this person's doing great and this person's not doing good, but that doesn't mean that, oh, like, it's a one-off instance. Like, we're talking about, like, repeated instances, and if Terrence Steele's starting to struggle, and we see that come the season, that's going to be a big red flag for the Cowboys, because, listen, you elected to move on from the guy. And I don't know what to say other than let's just see how this first preseason game goes. So the game will be tomorrow as of when this video comes out. If you're getting it on Thursday, going into Friday probably, we're getting closer. So again, like I mentioned, a lot of our questions will be answered. But there are a couple other things I wanted to touch up on. This was one of them. So I'm hoping with today, now being Friday, or, with the videos coming out on Friday, excuse me, before the game, I'll get up the Spacecast, depending on how much time I have with work. So just keep an eye out on that. I do apologize for the delays there, because I just moved into a new job, so I'm just trying to get acclimated with that. So thank you so much for your patience. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up here. What do you guys have to say about this joint practice? Is there any issues that you guys have? Is everything good? Just tell me down below how you feel. If you like this type of content and you stuck around to the end of the video, thank you so much for that. You're a real MVP. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and hit that notification bell on the way out. If you missed the last video, click the link that's going to be in the middle of your screen in the next couple seconds, so that you make sure that you don't miss out on more content. So I will catch you guys in the next one. All right, guys, have a good one. Goodbye.